Imagine having all the beauty of a wood fireplace without all the inconvenience and mess. Imagine the freedom of being able to just turn it on and off. This is exactly what you are about to enjoy with your new Timberline Gas Logs set. Our experience with manufacturing the most realistic and aesthetically pleasing logs in the market means that your guests may not know you're using gas logs, but you'll know the difference. First of all, gas logs have twice the heating efficiency of a wood fire. That means more heating power. And gas logs burn many times cleaner than wood. That means cleaner air for everybody. And every time you use your gas logs instead of burning wood, you help save trees. Timberline gas logs cost just pennies per hour to operate. Compare that with buying wood or chemical logs every time you want a fire. Just light and enjoy, as often as you like. And Timberline gas logs come with a lifetime warranty against any defects or damage. Best of all, Timberline gas logs are easy to install and operate. To make sure, we've prepared the following video to help you through the installation process as quickly and easily as possible.
Hi, my name is David Klein and I'm here to guide you through the installation of your Timberline gas log set. As we go along, you'll see that it's really pretty simple to install and will take only about a half an hour. Before we begin, it's important that you go through your owner's manual and brief yourself completely on how things go together. By doing that, it'll go together a lot easier and be a lot less frustrating for you. Also, please pay attention to all the warnings you see in the manual. These are very important. It's important to remember that both natural gas and propane can be hazardous. You don't have to be afraid of working with it, but you do need to respect it and be careful with it. There are a couple more things to consider before we begin the actual installation. First, check your fuel source in your house. If it is natural gas, be sure that your set is designed for natural gas. And if your fuel source is propane, your set needs to have a standing pilot control with correctly sized orifices in it. The two are different, and I will go over the details of propane later on. If at any time during the installation or any other time you smell gas, for your safety extinguish any open flames. Open all your windows. Do not ever turn on any electrical switches. That spark could ignite any gas that's in the air. And call the gas company. They will typically come out and check your equipment as a free service. Timberline gas log sets come with several different hardware configurations. For the purposes of this demonstration, I'll describe how to install the standard one-sided fireplace manual ignition set. If your log set is a see-through, a standing pilot, or an ANSI, we will cover the information unique to those types of sets after we've covered the basic steps of the installation. Okay, let's take a look at all the parts that come with your log set. We have the grate, we have the burner pan with all the pieces in it. We have what we call the saddle bag. This is your pan material. We have the bottom log assembly, and we have the packaged top log assembly. This is a standard 24-inch split oak set. Okay, we're ready to begin the actual installation now. The first thing you want to do is hook up the damper clamp. It's important that your damper remain open at least 3 inches at all times. This is the device you use to keep it open. If the damper were closed, our log sets burn so clean that it might not be obvious if carbon monoxide were building up to an undesirable level. So the damper must always be held open with a clamp. This is an example of a damper. The clamp hooks on the edge of the damper, and when the damper pivots open, the 3-inch bolt will hold it in the open position. After you fix the damper clamp, here's an easy way to check for proper draft. The smoke from this newspaper should go straight up. If it doesn't, you may need to have a technician check your fireplace. Your ember pan comes out of the factory with brass pieces installed in both ends. During the course of your installation, it'll be necessary for you to remove these brass pieces and apply pipe joint compound or Teflon tape to the joints before replacing and tightening them. First, you're going to want to reattach the brass plug to the side of the pan opposite your house gas supply. On the other side, the gas feed side, you're going to want to take your 3/8-inch National pipe thread by 3/8-inch flare fitting. This is the one with the orifice in it. And do the same as far as coating it with pipe joint compound. You're not going to have to tighten either piece very tightly, as neither connection is under very much pressure. Now, almost all houses around the country use half-inch black iron pipe as the gas supply into the fireplace. That's what our log sets are designed to fit. If you have anything other than this, you're going to need an adapter. If you've never removed the cap to your gas feed line, when you do take it off, make sure that you hold the nipple with one wrench and the cap with another. Gently unscrew the cap without rotating the gas feed line in the wall. Again, coat the gas feed line coming into your fireplace with pipe joint compound or Teflon tape and put this brass connector on it. You'll want this connection to be good and tight because depending on the log set you're putting in, it may be under full pressure. Once the gas feed brass is on, go ahead and set your pan in the fireplace, relatively centered from left to right and front to back. You'll hook your gas feed line up. You don't need Teflon tape or pipe joint compound in this instance. This is called a flared end. This 45-degree angle seats itself with the soft tube that you use to hook it in. Once your gas feed line is connected up and all points are tightened with a wrench, you're ready to test for gas leakage. Mix a bowl full of 50% dish soap and 50% water. Mix it up so it's thoroughly mixed together. Now set it aside for a minute. With a lit match or a log lighter in one hand, turn your gas valve key to on and light. Check to see that all the ports in the burner appear to be clear and have a steady flame. If any of these ports appear to be obstructed, it's very simple to take any kind of a sharp object that you can bend and hook like this and feed it up to clear the ports. Now, taking the soap solution, apply substantial amounts to all gas feed connections. This is what you don't want to have happen. If this happens in your installation, you get this bubbling, turn off the gas at your fireplace valve. Let the pan cool down for a while. Then take your crescent wrench and tighten the connection. Sometimes you may have to remove the brass piece and add more pipe joint compound or Teflon tape. But initially you might just try tightening it, and that should solve the problem. Now turn the fireplace gas on, light it again, go through the whole scenario one more time. If you have no leaks, you have no leaks. You're ready to install your pan material. This is the saddlebag. You cut open the large end containing the vermiculite and fill the entire pan. Use the top and the front lip of the pan as a rough reference. When I install log sets, I like to cover all the hardware. This really doesn't hurt a thing, and aesthetically, it's more pleasing, at least to my eye. You can be the judge of that. After you have the vermiculite in, then you will take the rock wool, which we call the burning embers, and tear it into small pieces. You'll put it in little bunches all across the top, actually all across all the material. Next, we're ready to place the grate and the logs. Start by placing the front lip even with the two legs of the grate. You'll be able to adjust it if necessary for flame pattern, but for now, start at that point. Take the bottom logs out of the box. The shorter of the two bottom logs goes in back. Slide it as far back as possible without it falling off the grate. The longer log goes in the front, and here again, slide it as far forward as is pleasing to your eye. It's important that you keep as much space between the two logs as possible. This will help your combustion and allow more room for the flame, which is essential. Then place the number of top logs that came with your set on top the way it looks best to you. Keep as much breathing space between these logs as possible. Once you've got the logs in place, you're ready to light. So you turn on the gas again, having the match lit first, light it, and you've got a beautiful log set. Now, there is a break-in period to concrete refractory logs. This is the material we make our logs out of. It's important that you burn them at different volumes of gas. When you burn your gas logs the first time, have the flame at about 2 inches. Increase your flame every half hour for the first 2 hours. When you've done this procedure once, you'll never have to do it again. You can adjust the flame simply by using the valve key that you have installed in your house. By just shutting it down slightly, like this, you can see how your flame will go up or down. When the valve key is turned off completely, you may see small tongues of flame for a few seconds. This is perfectly normal and will happen with all log set types. There are a couple more points I'd like to mention about using your new gas logs. You can shut your screen, but make sure you never have the glass doors shut. You should be able to have all windows and doors closed in the house, and the log set can burn for hours safely. Another thing you're going to experience is an odor for probably the first 3 hours that you burn the logs. It'll smell a little like burning plastic. This is the different paints being exposed to the heat. If your fireplace is drafting properly, it's nothing to worry about. And after about the first 3 hours, at the very maximum, you shouldn't experience these smells anymore either. If you do experience these smells, similar to jet fuel at the airport, diesel, or kerosene, more than likely you have a drafting problem with your fireplace. This can commonly be caused by extreme cold or strong wind outside forcing air down the fireplace. It is also possible that there is a problem with your forced air heating pulling air down the chimney, or an obstruction of the vent itself. In these cases, you'll have to have a professional come out and check your draft. What you see here is the see-through set. It has about twice the hardware of the standard set and is all labeled in your owner's manual. You take out all components and follow the same rules for installation that you would on a standard set. The grade is different also. It has lifts on both ends. You have 2 saddlebags instead of 1, and you have 2 identical bottom logs as opposed to 1 longer and 1 shorter like you have on a standard set. What you see before you here is the set approved to the Standing Pilot RGA 272 certification, which is required for propane and optional for natural gas. This consists of the same kind of ember pan that you had in the standard set. The hardware is slightly different though. You have a Standing Pilot control valve with Standing Pilot and thermocouple assembly. These typically come fully assembled from the factory, which actually makes them simpler to install than a standard set. You can also buy a Standing Pilot kit separately and add it on later. The only thing that's really important is that you test it for leaks at all threaded connections. That even includes the threaded points at the pilot and at the control valve underneath. Now we'll go into the lighting of it. Set the dial to the top. You can see in the casting there's the word pilot. You put the arrow on the dial to the top and push in. It may take a minute or two for the air in your line to leak out so that gas comes to your pilot. You'll have to hold the dial in for a couple of minutes. What happens in this time is that the thermocouple heats up and sends a pulse back that tells the valve to stay open. When you can let go of the dial and the Standing Pilot stays open, you're ready to light the main burner bar. You simply turn the dial to the left and your main burner bar will ignite. When you're testing, however, to be completely safe, use a lit match or log lighter to light the main burner bar since you have no pan material in the pan. Turning the dial will control the amount of flame you have. To turn it off, you simply turn it to the right to the pilot position. Your pilot will remain lit, your main flame will go out. Now the pilot flame comes set full from the factory. Sometimes the sound of this can be annoying. In the event that it is, you can adjust the height of the pilot flame by removing the slotted screw directly above the valve dial and adjusting the smaller slotted screw found within. Turning this screw clockwise will reduce the flame. Be sure not to set it too low, however. To shut off the Standing Pilot, you'll have to push the dial in about 1/8 of an inch as you turn it back to the off position. That'll shut the Standing Pilot off. And if you want to be even safer when you do this, you can turn the key valve off at your hearth. Unless specially ordered, All standing pilot kits come out of our factory set up for natural gas. What's required to change them to propane is the changing of 2 orifices. These come standard with all sets. What you'll do to replace the 2 orifices that are already in is you'll need a 1/4 inch Allen wrench to exchange the main burner bar orifice, and you'll need a smaller open end wrench to loosen the nut that holds the standing pilot orifice inside. This simply slides off and then is replaced by the new propane orifice. Tighten it back up and you're finished. The ANSI standard set, which is required in some parts of the country, is another type of standing pilot set. It is commonly referred to as the AGA standard. This is a misnomer though, don't be fooled by this. Any qualified certification laboratory which is approved by National Evaluation Service Incorporated is capable of testing this set safely and approving it for your use. Timberline chooses to use Radco for all of its log sets. Radco has approved our ANSI standard sets and they're all safe. What the ANSI standard set has above and beyond the RGA 272 standing pilot set are the following. It has a regulator. This controls the maximum pressure that can come in on your gas feed line. The pan is fixed to the grate and the logs have fixed positioning. All the logs are numbered as to their placement. They're similar to the standard logs, but not exactly alike. The set comes completely assembled, so you simply put the set in your hearth, hook up the gas feed line the same way, ignite and test for leaks just as you did for the standard set. Then you place your logs, your pan and material, and it's ready for use. In addition to our log sets, Timberline offers many attractive and useful accessories that you might want to consider purchasing in the future. On behalf of everybody at Timberline Gas Logs Incorporated, I'd like to thank you for purchasing a Timberline Gas Log set. We know you'll enjoy it for many, many years to come.